How's it going? My name is Nick, and I just want to say first, I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing to Roll Coverage. It really helps us out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Otherwise, just sit back and get ready. It's time to roll coverage.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Nope. They roll coverage.
So this one's going to be a little bit different. This one, I'm asking, can we truly trust the Carolina Panthers yet? Now, that might be a little bit of a loaded question. Personally, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, so it's a little hard for me to not want to root for the team, but I did make a proclamation to not do so this year, as shown right here. But with that, I think that more people are drinking the Kool-Aid already, to say it mildly. Though that might seem a little harsh, putting those people in a cult, I think it is something that is very hard for fans. Of course, we know fan comes from the word fanatic. There's plenty of fanatic fans out there for sure. There's people that go the super aggressive side. There's people that are just, hey man, we're 12-5 no matter what the roster looks like. But ask yourself, when you look at this team on paper, what do you see? Now, obviously, it's going to be my opinions. Wasn't able to bring a guest on for this one today. Nobody really wants to criticize the Carolina Panthers yet, but hey, I might as well take the flak for it. So, with that, obviously we see the draft class here. Krumedy, Barrett, Chow Smith, Jatavian Sanders, Jonathan Brooks, Xavier, Leggett. So obviously we have some great pieces added to the offensive side. We have some a little bit more gambles on the defensive side, but with the acquisitions of Clowney and hopefully some pieces that we've added there, the defense will be able to hold up now that it is removed Brian Burns. A lot of people have some interesting thoughts on Brian Burns, I'll say the least. And I just don't think it was worth getting rid of him, in my opinion. We really got fleeced on that trade, and if this Bryce Young experiment doesn't work and Brian Burns ends up doing something well, we could really be in a bad spot, worse than a team like Arizona or even the New York Giants. Because in my opinion, I would take Jalen Hyatt, Malik Neighbors over any wide receiver on the Carolina Panthers. And I don't think that's really that much of a stretch. Obviously, XL could do well, but I'm pretty sure his first 4 seasons in college, he had like 450-something yards. So obviously, Xavier needs to prove it at the NFL level, like a lot of the rookies do, of course. But I must say, I don't trust them yet. I don't trust David Tepper. I've done plenty of videos of the reason why I don't trust David Tepper, so I'm just going to move on from that topic. So just to start with this, I don't trust Dave yet, even though I picked him before anybody else to be a head coach. I even got receipts for it.
How do you think you've improved what you've learned in the course of the season on the play call?
Appreciate you asking that. Good.
A happy guy. He's probably up there just giddy and everything like that. This so far, again, he's winning me over just by being personable, by being honest, and by being a good coach. Like, he's giving you the answers without giving you too much, but he's still able to go in depth and tell you about the person, the character, all these other things that matter to everybody in the locker room. Sometimes it's not just about ability, it's also about availability. It's also about your character and how other people perceive you and deal with you and how you're coached. There's so much that goes into it, and I'm loving this so far. If Mr. Canales ever ends up on the Panthers, I will be very, very open to that.
I don't believe in Dan Morgan because he was the assistant to Scott Fitterer for multiple years, assisted in scouting, assisted in player acquisition. Yes, he was the assistant, but to think that he had no say in it is a very interesting one. And obviously, Dave, being a first-time head coach, it seems like he's really literally run up the coaching ladder, did quite a bit for Seattle. And just in case you guys haven't checked it out or didn't know a whole lot about Dave, I did a 9-part Dave Canales series. Did a breakdown of a bunch of his different press conferences where we really tried to understand who he is. And he's energetic. He's incredibly intelligent. He's determined. To be honest, he's unorthodox with a lot of his things. But at the same time, I think that's a breath of fresh air in a way to a lot of Carolina Panthers fans. One of the pushbacks I've seen from people is that the new Blueprint episode, which I will give credit where credit is due, the newest Blueprint episode by the Carolina Panthers is a good one. But you can definitely see the swath of people online that immediately took that episode and ran with it and said, now the Panthers might win the Super Bowl, or the Panthers are going to win a playoff game. And I just don't see that. But regardless of that, my trust comes in with the head coaching. Yes, it's more energetic, seems more vibrant than before, but obviously, like I've done in previous videos, the last regime was literally from the start, literally from the draft room on, constantly trying to play catch up to what David Tepper wanted. We should have probably made different decisions then, but that's the past. This is the present. Do I think Dave can win? Yes, but I'm not going to lie. I'm going to hold Dave to a pretty high standard. And I understand that standard may seem low to others, but 5 wins. He needs 5 wins. If he can get 5 wins, that's a solid start. That's a solid growth from there. But if he ends up with like 3 or 4 wins, in my opinion, Dave gets canned. I know that seems like a quick turnaround for a head coach. I'm pretty sure we gave him like a 4-year, $100 and change million deal. So he's definitely getting paid. But in his first year, he got a quarterback who is one of the most accurate, former number 1 quarterbacks, all that in Bryce Young. Regardless of what happened in 23, he still was a number 1 pick. And it's only his 2nd year, so still some time to develop. He brings in Brad Idzik, former wide receiver coach, to be his non-play calling OC. He brings in the offensive line coach from the Bucs. He brings in guys from Seattle. He brings in guys from all over. But they're all guys that he knew. They're all offensively focused. We went big offensively in the draft, as you can see. So there's a lot of moments where I kind of look at this team and I'm not necessarily happy with the long-term projection. Well, we're currently, as a Carolina Panthers fan, if you go and want to bet on the Carolina Panthers, you might as well bet that we might get the number 1 pick, because that's our best odds, to be honest with you, my guy. Top 5 pick is pretty solid. It's a pretty gimme at that point. So if we end up with a top 5 pick again under an offensive coach, offensive weaponry, offensive quarterback, 2 new offensive linemen. Last year, Bryce only had, Bryce had the 10th most time to throw of any quarterback in the NFL, and now we're giving him more offensive line help on top of that. So if this is not the year for us to at least think about what's happening next, for us to at least say, hey, what are we seeing? Like last year, when you looked at this team, the 23 Panthers, did you say they were going to win 10 games? Because if so, I don't know what you saw. I want to know what you saw. But I saw a 4-win team. I saw a 5-win max team, and I was high at 5 wins. I'm still sticking with 5. If we end up with 6 or more, I'm over the moon. I'm super happy. But until that day comes, I'm going to be a skeptic. I'm going to be skeptic because we have Dan Snyder, essentially. A lot of people always talk to me about when I always go to the David Tepper argument, especially if I compare him to Dan Snyder, like I just did. A lot of folks will say, oh, well, it was Frank Reich's fault. But when we go to blame Dan Snyder, the owner, we don't blame the coaches during that time. You might, because you might have picked the Panthers to win 10 games. So you might not necessarily have a great evaluation of the talent. But we blame the owner because the owner was the one meddling. The owner is the one adding issues to a team that doesn't need them. So the Commanders are better off now that they have Jaden. The Bears are better off now that they have Caleb. I don't know about the Patriots, if I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a big Drake May fan, so I'm kind of out on him. Penix is going to be great in Atlanta. I could see a situation where he ends up the starter after this year or the end of next year. There's a lot of great opportunities, but Bryce is one of those ones that arguably had one of the worst rookie seasons in NFL history, and people can blame the coach, people can blame the scheme, the personnel, all that other stuff. But if you go look at their tweets, you go look at their receipts from that time where they were saying that this team was going to be good, oh man, we're going to win this, we're going to win that. They're not doing that now. Now they're very apprehensive. Now it's something else. It's some other problem. I'm sorry, I stood 10 toes down right here on Roll Coverage, so make sure you subscribe, that my Panthers are still in a rebuild. So, to be honest, I'm going to make this one a short one. What is your thoughts? Do you truly trust the Carolina Panthers? Again, I don't trust them, but I just need to see it first. He comes out there preseason week 1, 2, 3, gets me some dubs. Obviously, preseason doesn't matter, but then he comes out week 1, week 2, gets 2 back-to-back dubs. I'm fully on board. Dave, what can we do to help you succeed some more? But if we end up getting to the end of the season and Bryce Young is 3,400 yards and 19 touchdowns, 21 touchdowns, that's an L in my opinion. 21 touchdowns for a former number 1 pick is not enough. But if you agree or disagree, make sure you put it in the subscription, in the comments. I'll make sure to put links in the description. You have a great day. My name is Nick. Peace.